Hello, viewers, and welcome to Face TV. I'm your host, Koske Salim, and this is another episode that will bring you special guests. And without further ado, let me take this opportunity to let them introduce themselves from far left.
Hey guys, my name is Shalin Kimbo and I come from Eldoret.
Pleasure.
Hey guys, my name is Victorious Jamutai and I come from Kapsabet.
Okay, like you've heard, our guests are just around the Nandi area or Rift Valley to be specific, and they haven't told us where they are, so that our viewers won't be shocked or they will be asking ourselves where this guy is speaking from. So I just want to confirm to you that they are speaking live from Australia, specifically Darwin. And without wasting time, I just want to ask them to tell us a little bit more about themselves, whoever wants to go first. And feel free to speak whatever language you want to speak, all right?
Okay, so guys, as you heard, my name is Victorious and I am originally from Kapsabet. I was born in Kapsabet, raised in Kapsabet.
Yeah.
So I also went to primary school around Kapsabet, went to high school in Kapsabet.
What was your high school?
So I went to St. Joseph's Girls High School, Chepterit.
Ah,
To Abideri.
okay. Did you manage to burn the school? Kapsabet, Eldoret, Mosoria,
Yeah, this fire.
No,
this fire.
not really. Like in our era, we never banned the school, but
Eh,
maybe after I was out. But like when I was there,
eh.
nothing happened.
So what was that something that you find it so interesting that when you look back now, you're just laughing that my days in high school was wow.
For example, our high school had like we used to eat githeri and we used to call it nyoyo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like that's the most like the githeri was very nice,
Yeah.
very delicious.
Yeah.
Because they used to put it in the kitchen, like in the fire for like since morning until dinner time. Because we
Oh.
used to eat githeri from Monday to Monday, all the dinners.
There was no special diet like
Imagine.
Wednesday rice and all that.
So what happened? We used to eat like once in a week. That was Sunday rice, which was like during lunch,
Yeah.
and then the rest of the days was ugali, and then githeri always during
Very
dinner.
special. Did
Yeah.
they put paraffin or just no paraffin?
I'm not sure,
They
but
have boys, so they don't need paraffin.
yeah, but
this thing and no boys.
Yeah.
yeah, but the githeri was catching. It was,
Was
nice.
lit.
It was
Okay.
lit.
What
Yeah.
about you, Shali?
I come from Eldoret, so
Yeah.
most of my education was in Wasingishu.
Yeah.
In primary school, I went to Chepkoilel. To nursery and Nini, I went to a lot. So let's just skip to primary at least.
You used
I
to
was
be
in
ambassador.
I used to everywhere.
Representing everyone.
So
Yeah.
so ikakuwa stable when I stayed in Chepkoilel
Yeah.
for the primary school,
Mm-hmm.
and then I proceeded to Kamagut High School.
Yeah. Oh, I was to go to Kamalut High School.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Then
Ah.
my dad's brother, who is Bishop Patrice Jumba, came in and said, "Hey, I'm taking this boy to my high school, Silgo." And that was the deal, you know.
How
And I'm
you
like,
became
"Oh,
into Tom.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. I went to Kamagut High School. Life was fun there. What I remember, especially about myself, sikuwa napenda kuvaa viatu.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I would have a tie, vizuri, but with slippers and
Yeah, I never put on tie in my entire high school life.
guys,
I didn't like it.
criminal.
I didn't like it. Yeah. Look, and I could have a tie just for 5 minutes in assembly. As long as the assembly ends, that ends with the tie. That's it for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know why we were
Really?
resisting, Aki. It doesn't make sense
It's
now.
exposure. It's
I think
exposure.
you were still growing up. That's
Yeah.
why.
We didn't like those things.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
So,
didn't have much to resist.
Yeah.
Any dramas in your high school time?
Dramas, because we were a mixed school,
Uh-huh.
the stories of relationship always brought dramas.
Uh-huh.
But it's kitu tu inanibamba.
Uh-huh.
Imagine we were drinking maji ya bucket and nothing happened.
Yeah, talking about that, I remember we used to drink like the water in the bucket, and
Yeah.
also we used to like eat from plastic bag
Yeah, so
if you don't have a plate.
I was in Moy High School.
Bag.
I don't know if you guys know about my high school. I was in Moy High School. It was
my
a
cousin was
notorious
there.
school. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
I have no
what
idea.
was funny nowadays, if I've sometimes look back and I just laugh is because I was put in a table called table 10 because we used not to queue. We used to
No,
go in tables, 10
Yeah.
people.
Okay,
And then our table was just notorious, you know. Didn't matter about Form 1 or Form 2, just made up of all the notorious guys, you know. And then we used to have these guys from, there's a guy from Chete we used to call him Wezo. You know the lid, the plastic lid, the one you Form 1 buys, the container, the
Yeah.
shower and all those, the lid itself, he used to use that one as a plate.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, why, you know? And I'm like, so the funny thing is, if you miss rice, the rice day was Wednesday. So if you are late, if the teacher stays long in class, Wezo will take half of the rice.
In that lid.
Yeah,
Oh
he'll
my
take half of
He
the
was so
rice.
notorious.
But they're the people you remember now.
Like it's the interesting things in high school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's beautiful. So, moving forward after that, did you guys finish high school and do other hustle, or you just decided to apply to come to Australia?
So for me, I finished high school.
Mhm.
I passed well.
Yeah.
I was even like called to a university.
Mhm.
But one day, like my dad met a friend,
Mhm.
and then a friend told him about Australia.
Yeah.
So when he was told about Australia, he came and by the way, I have a twin brother, so
Yeah.
he came and told me, my twin brother and I, that I've met a friend and it's like this.
Yeah.
You can apply, like you guys can maybe, if you're interested, apply to go to Australia.
Yeah.
So my twin brother was not interested, and then for me, before that,
Mhm.
I didn't want to go outside the country.
Yeah.
But when he came and told us, I was like, oh, okay, let me just try. Let me go and try.
Yeah.
So I remember after he told us, after a week, I went and told my mom that, Mom, I would love to like, try and start applying to go to Australia, because they gave us the
pamphlet?
agent's details.
Mhm.
So my mom at first, she had refused. She was like, oh no, you can't go now. You need to stay in Kenya for your degree. You're still young, you can go outside the country.
Yeah.
So at that time I was really upset. I was like, why is she telling me, why is she denying me to go to the agent? Why is she not taking me to go to the agent? So when after a while, like she saw me that I was upset.
Yeah.
So she decided to just take me to the agent.
To
So-
get rid of you quickly. Yeah?
Not
Because you're
not
pissed
get rid of me,
Mhm.
but she's
pissed.
like I really wanted. I had the
So
urge
she's
to
like-
go to the agent,
Okay.
but she had refused. So finally she accepted. I went to the agent. By the way, my parents didn't do my like all the applications. The first day I went to the agent is when I started my own, like the only thing I asked my parents is like money for school fees and whatever, but I did all my process alone, like going to the agent alone. And that time was like
Of course, you're a
19
big girl,
years.
you know?
Yeah, I was a big girl, but I had just finished high school. You are not exposed yet to life.
Yeah.
So you can
Exposure
imagine.
is something that
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people need to be exposed to. Or I feel like our parents need to give freedom to our brothers and all those, so that
Yeah, true.
you find someone traveling to Australia and yet he hasn't explored even Eldoret by itself. So when he came here, he will struggle to fit in
True.
2 times, you know?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
What about you, Shelly? How was it? The process and the idea. Yeah.
So after I finished high school,
Yeah.
I didn't really start any hustle or anything like that.
Mhm.
But I was really interested in like nilikuwa nataka kuzanga hizo masaladi, nilikuwa nataka
Yeah.
kufanyanga kazi ya
Just business
M-Pesa,
oriented.
like that's what I wanted, and maybe helping with the farming things. But the farming also, it wasn't my interest, but I saw that that's where the money is.
Yeah.
Finally, I actually ended up not doing anything, and the decision had been made.
Yeah.
that I would go to uni. I had been called to Maseno.
What was the course you're supposed to study?
Computer technology, not computer science, computer technology. I didn't know what that was.
They called me to go to Moi University to study criminology.
So for me, like what put me off, I was called to study animal science. I was like, what am I going to study in animal science?
Yeah, but looking back now, if you were in Australia and you study things to do with animal, you are
really good.
You are really good. You're marketable now, you know.
Yeah. But back home
so
was a bit of a
then
struggle.
what happened?
So and then it happened that my uncle does live here. He lives in Canberra, and so he was graduating at that time. So I finished high school 2016. My mom and grandmother traveled for the graduation. And when my mom came, she came with fire. Kinda. And when my mom says, it goes. She's Sirikal in my house. So I also just started like changamkaring to that idea, and I started asking Kipton, who's my uncle, started asking him how is it there in Australia. So I didn't come with the idea that it's a perfect world.
So for you already know what's going on in Australia.
And my mom also, she was a visitor, but
she's already in touch with the place, so she knows what's going on.
She knows, what's going on.
You are in a better position, just
very much better. So there is
for me, I didn't know
here,
anything.
very many people
me
usually
too.
do that.
I didn't know anything.
Like my expectations coming to Australia was very different to what I found in Australia.
For me, I knew I was supposed to go, but I didn't know how life was. But I had already made up my mind that I was going, and I remember my story was that the day that I decided to go to Australia, because growing up I didn't know about Australia, I only knew about US because everyone in my village was going to US, you know. And then when I knew about Australia through my neighbor, I went to talk to my neighbor and tell my neighbor that that is the Chemus that now I say to Mr. Malugay, hello Malugay, I said to him, look, I want to go to Australia and I understand my family situation at the moment. And I know we can't, but I just want to get your opinion. How do you think? And he told me, hey, go. I say, yeah, but I'm scared to have this conversation with my mom more than my dad. And he says to me, oh, go have a conversation with your mom, leave your dad because that's easy, you know? So that's how I managed to come to Australia. So
and so what was your expectations versus reality, if you can briefly tell us?
Expectation of Australia, I knew that I was going to a new place to study, and I knew I was going to hustle, but what was the hustle? I didn't know anything. I didn't know what exactly people are doing there. You know,
me too.
I knew few people in Australia, but they never explained what they're doing. They were just to say that we are just studying, you know, and all we are walking. And then I remember when I had a conversation with Mr. Ruben Mutai, and he says to me, they are working in environmental conservation. You know, it's environmental
Construction.
No, environmental conservation.
Looks fancy.
So I didn't know what is that exactly.
Maybe just taking care of the environment.
So I thought, I don't know what to do, you know. But I came, they hosted me, but can I tell you something funny? So these guys came and picked me up with other guys, and they picked me up from Sydney. That was my first place I dropped on, Sydney. And then, guess the first stopover.
Where?
We didn't stop in the house.
Where did you
We stopped in Berala, BWS.
Oh my God.
We stopped in Berala,
You were
BWS.
shocked.
Yeah.
So that's the culture.
This was the first
That was the
experience
first
of
culture
Australia,
shock.
you know. And then they buy lots of alcohol, you know, boxes and boxes. And I'm like, so they took me, my first place to step foot was in a bar, like alcohol shop, you know. And then they took me through the aisles, you know, big long aisles of alcohol, always alcohol I'm seeing, you know. And then what was funny is they didn't even buy Coke, Fanta or Sprite for me, you know? So and then that's, you know, that was my first day in Australia. I was like, oh my God, what's this, you know? So I look back and I'm saying, that was the day if I had to change my life and say I'm into drinking, that was the first opportunity, because the way they welcomed me and all those. But what's funny is the people who own the house, like Ruben, Esmond, Sila, and one guy called Cornelia, they never drink. They used not to drink, and they're not drinking. It's not like they're drinking. They're not drinking. But the other guys,
they were
my goodness, yeah. So that was my
first experience
about Australia. Yeah. So, what was your first experience when you came to Australia?
So, for me, it's a little bit interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let me sit down for this.
So for me, applying to come to Australia, when I got the visa, first I didn't know, like, I knew some people are in Australia, but I didn't know.
First, how was the feeling when you get the visa?
Oh, I was so excited. I just wanted to take a plane the next minute to come to Australia.
Yeah.
That was the feeling, like, I just booked a plane the following week to come to Australia. Even though the school was like a month to go, but I booked a plane. So, so the agent who I used, like, we booked a plane, and then for me, like, I didn't know so much people in Australia, and I didn't know a lot of people in Sydney. I didn't have contacts. So the agent had suggested that we pay 80,000 Kenyan shilling for accommodation.
Wow.
Bloody expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the agent told us, like, it's gonna be like a month accommodation.
How many dollars is that?
So
that is like 1,000.
1,300.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So my parents paid the money. They knew their daughter has got an accommodation ready.
Everything is covered.
Everything is covered. So when I arrived in Australia, the agent picked me up. So the agent had not found the accommodation. So she took me to her house. So she took me to her house, and then I stayed in her house for like 2 days. And then she finally found a house for me. So I moved. So the agent used to live in Ingadin, in the southern sides of Sydney, close to Sutherland and whatever. So I moved to Hurstville. I remember she found a house in Hurstville. In Hurstville, there's lots of Chinese.
I know.
I didn't see any African, and you can imagine I'm from Africa. And then she found a shared accommodation which was owned by a Chinese couple. And then I went there. When she wanted to leave me, I started crying.
Big girl crying.
Like reality just
hit you like
hit me like that.
Now you are independent and there's no one around you.
In my mind I was like, no, she's left me. What next? What will happen? I don't know what I'm gonna do next. I don't know what awaits me for tomorrow. Like what will happen tomorrow? How am I gonna go? How am I gonna get a job? How am I gonna go to school? I didn't know all those things, and she has left me. I started crying. And then when she saw me crying, she had a group that had some Kenyans. So she immediately texts this girl, her name is Victoria, she's still young, she came from Kenya, she doesn't know anyone. If you have time, you can contact her or you can visit her. She lives in Nashville. She gave out my address. So I think a few people contacted me, but no one, they didn't visit me. But there's only one girl who came and I met her and the agent when we were doing the application, but I didn't take the contacts or anything. So she remembered me. So she came the following day to see me. I didn't think she came.
You see now the best part of having friends.
Yeah, she contacted me and came the following day to see me. So when she came to see me, she was like, she showed me. She was like, oh, let me take you to my place. She just came from work. She was working in the city. She came to Hurstville, and then she was like, oh, let me take you with the train. I didn't know how to use a train.
Now that was my second thing that I wanted to ask you. How was your experience with the train? Because for me, I've never had a good experience with a train.
Okay, for me that first time, so she came and picked me up. She took me to the train station. Like, I didn't know how to, it is this train station that has a gate. You need to tap in and then go in. So she showed me, because I didn't know, if nobody could have come, I couldn't have known how to go inside the train.
Yeah.
So she took me. They used to live in Fairfield, I remember. We went to Fairfield where they used to live, and then I was like, I think I will move in with you guys. Let me leave the 80,000. I can't stay in there.
Ulimwona maji ni pesa hivyo.
I left the 80,000. I was like, no, because you know that night I cried the whole night. I cried the whole night, and I called my mom. I told my mom, please send me money. I want to come back home. I was like, what am I going to do here?
Everyone wanted to go back home at the point in time.
Yeah, I was like,
what about you, Shirley?
No. Me, when I hear Vicky's story, and I just feel like, oh.
So yours was
mine was
smooth?
quite smooth, yeah.
Oh, you had connection?
I had connection. My uncle had a good friend who hosted me. And
so you see now the beauty
difference.
of having someone waiting for you, and the beauty of
not having somebody.
and the ugly side of not having someone.
Yeah.
For me, I had Ruben, I had other people from my village, even though not immediate village. They were there for me. They were. In fact, what's funny is that when I arrived, Ruben had already bought 2 cars.
So you had an
they
extra one.
too. I had a car. Yeah, I had a small car. Yeah, Ruben was upgrading, so and he gave me his car, so I was running around with it, and then I knew how to drive. So the only thing that they had to tell me was, when you get to the roundabout, this is what you do, this is what you do. And then we went to Kayama the second day.
What is Kayama?
Kayama, that is
Kayama,
past
close to
Wolobo. Yeah, there's a place past Wolobo. Yeah.
Like
And then when we came back, the guys were drunk, and then I had to drive. Day 2.
That was the experience.
Into the culture immediately.
Yeah, I was straight away. And then that was my really little experience in Australia. And then the breakthrough, someone who gave me breakthrough was a guy called, we call him Honorable Melvin. He gave me breakthrough. He took me to job.
Yeah.
And Sila came by, who says to him, please, I have a guy in the house, please take him to work. So that was my experience, you know. And then when I went to the job, now the one conservation, environmental conservation, when I get there, they told me I had my rubber shoes, you know, and my nice clothes, and they told me, hey bro, what's this? you need to buy this and that, you know. So I got a vast gig, and then I went to buy uniform, and then I'm like, oh, this is the job now. And then the worst part was the culture shock when I was paid $200, and then I came home, go to Google, $200 converted to Kenyan money. I'm like, damn, I'm rich, you know.
Yeah.
So those were the things, you know.
By the way, I want to shout out to her name was Neva. She was the one who helped me. Well, if you'll be watching this video, thank you very much.
Fantastic,
You really helped me.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So how was the flight? Your first flight to Australia, the longest one. You know, how was it? Because for me, I didn't have a good time. I sat in between 2 people, and I didn't know how. I knew how to put my English together, but to put 2 and 2 sentences was a problem. Like, I wanted to go to toilet, and I could say, excuse me, and then I was embarrassed to say I want to go to toilet, you know. So I had to hold on.
But I think when you say excuse me, they will know you.
Who knew that? Who knew that? Who knew that if you say excuse me and then they will say what do you want, you know? It's because there was no exposure, you know. So I didn't go to toilet, I didn't do anything. I just stayed, keep quiet and calm all the way till I get to Australia. How many hours? Around 14 hours without standing up.
You wanted to kill yourself.
So like, I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
How was yours?
For me, like I sat like in the window. Like my first flight was to Qatar. So most Kenyans were in there going to Qatar and whatever. And then my second one was coming to Australia from Qatar to Australia. That is like I sat like on the edge of the in the middle one, but on the edge of the aisle. So I was okay. I could go to the toilet, and I slept like almost the whole flight. I was sleeping. The food for me, when I saw rice and chicken, that was
So there was this guy called Milan. we were circumcised together, but he went to Qatar, and when he came back, he realized that I was flying too, and he told me, "Hey, bro, if you just sit in the plane, the only thing you will order is orange juice, chicken, and rice." So I had
You had an idea
of what to ask, So it was just chicken, rice, and orange juice, So that was it anyway.
Yeah.
So what was your first job, and how was the process? How did you get it?
Okay, my first job. Okay, there's like the lady who took me in, like where they live. Like after one day, she took me to, like, I did lawn mowing. That was my first job.
Hey.
What?
Yeah, my first job was lawn mowing. I remember she told me, "Oh, on Saturday we have a job." Then, like, I only had like my sneakers.
Yeah.
So they was very special to me, but I just dressed those sneakers, my jeans, and like,
Did you know what you were going to do?
I knew it's like, maybe because she told me it's cutting grass, so I knew it's cutting grass, but I didn't know it's like lawn mowing, and it's on big fields, not even a small field.
Yeah.
Like, we started 8 o'clock, and the boss who took us for lawn mowing picked us up, and then we started at 8 o'clock, finished at 4 o'clock. We were just lawn mowing. It's around April.
Yeah.
Like, is it?
It's just fair. It wasn't hot.
Not hot, not
Yeah.
cold.
Mhm.
So we were just pushing. Like, we wore these vests.
So what can you tell that viewer in Kenya who thinks like these jobs are men's job, When push comes to shove, you gotta do it. Yeah.
Like, what a man can do, a woman can do.
So how long did you do it?
So yeah, I only did like for one day.
Yeah.
That was like on Saturday. And
Yeah.
before we went to like that job, we had been like, we went to the city to look for housekeeping job, and no one took us. Like, it was myself and a lady called Claire. We were all new. We arrived the same day. So we took a train to the city. We don't even know where to, like, we just had town hall.
You guys were determined, eh?
We were very determined to get a job. So we went, and then we used the GPS to look. We didn't even know how to use a GPS at first.
Yeah.
But thanks to God, we managed to. We found the place. We went, and I remember we were interviewed, and I remember when I went to the interview, they asked me, "Do you know this is a very hard job?" And I was like, "Oh, that's easy." Like, I was so determined to work. So we got the job. So I only did the like lawn mowing for one day, and then on Monday we started the housekeeping. I thought it was an easy job, but oh my God, it was really hard.
So you can confirm to people who are planning to fly to Australia or who are already here that there's nothing easy here, anyway.
There's nothing easy,
Yeah.
guys. Like, everything is it's just the struggle and your own determination and hard work that it will help you. Yeah.
How was your
My first
job?
job.
Yeah.
Luckily, my first job was with disability, which
straight away.
straight into it. I tried looking for housekeeping, and I was not very lucky. And
No
I
one
didn't
was
have
lucky to get chips
connection.
on stick.
No, that one now I did. I did that one because my uncle had connection there. So to me, we're doing the thing. I liked it because the money. Anyway, I'm tired, but money. I'm tired, but there is money at the end of the day. So I love that. Maybe that could have been. It was my first job before now officially
Moving
started.
to disability.
Yeah.
So that from there now until now.
What did you do with your first pay? Did you sort out friends?
Wapi wa Kenya?
Yeah. Wapea vitu yao.
Okay, my first pay, because for me, when I just arrived in Australia, I immediately started paying rent and everything. So
You are welcome the nicest way.
the nicest way.
Possible.
Even when moving to that other place where Kenyans used to live, I started paying my rent immediately. So my first pay was $100. I don't know what I did with it. Like that lawn mowing, from 8 o'clock to 2 p.m. I was paid $100. And then when I started housekeeping, they paid me after a month. Like, I don't know what happened. I remember I cried in front of the manager saying that they haven't paid me and I have to pay my rent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh my goodness.
because I had used most of my money when I moved to the shared accommodation, buying food and buying utensils to cook for myself.
KFC, Hungry Jacks,
To
McDonald's.
to be like I only bought McDonald's after like a month. Not McDonald's, KFC. I knew KFC after a month and I didn't like it.
So I tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
We used to go to KFC, McDonald's in the morning, or anytime we go to McDonald's, but we can't go through drive-through. Why? Because we didn't know what to order. So what we used to do is we go and queue, and then whoever is ahead of us, we listen so keenly to whatever he says. Okay, if he say I need Big Mac meal, we keep that one. And
Big
say,
Mac meal.
Big Mac meal. Okay. If we didn't hear properly, we just go and say, give me like the previous guy.
Are you serious?
But if it was something else that you can't eat.
Yeah, but we didn't know that. We didn't know that. We didn't know that. How do you pronounce this thing? Or you say, I need burger. And then they say, which one? Yeah, like,
beef one.
That one. That one there. You know, that's what we used to do. And I remember my boss used to take me in the morning because I do tree lopping. You pick me up. And then the first thing we do, stop in service station, buy coffee. And then he says to me, what coffee do you want? I'm like, damn.
Just coffee.
And then
Just
there are
coffee.
different coffees, and it's like, yeah, brother, which coffee? I say, like yours.
And then it's really strong coffee.
Yeah. No, the one is they have corn coffee, you know.
Really strong one.
I just drink it and I'm like, I hate the coffee. I hate the coffee, you know. Until the day I knew there are different types of coffee. I didn't know anything, you know.
Yeah.
So that was really, really amazing.
That's part of culture shock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that leads to my other question. What was the culture shock for you in Australia? What did you find it like, oh, are they doing like I can give you my example, then you give me yours. It's like when I came to Australia, I went for a job interview. When I went for a job interview, I realized that lots of women were outside smoking. Smoking. And I'm like, damn, I'm from Kenya. These things are not there. Women are smoking and they're like, oh, in fact, they have smoking break. I was shocked. And then let me give you another funny story. We used to go to the beach, you know, Maroubra, all those beach. And then, you know what we used to do? Just go and stare at ladies. Because they didn't have clothes.
Oh, you went to the nude beach?
No, not nude beach.
That's a wider beach.
It's a wider too, but you know, I'm from Nandi. There's no beach. How can you see women with bra?
And even the swimming in Kenya, you wear
we wear, you know, fully covered, you know. And that's why I always say we need to expose our brothers and sisters before they travel, so that when they arrive in this place, they wouldn't be like, you know.
But how do you suggest we expose
How
them?
will you?
The environment.
We talk about it. We talk about it so that our parents will be able to take their kids to Mombasa and all that, so that people will not come here and commit an offense.
But you
and
know,
then,
Salim, you know, not everyone will be able to go to Mombasa.
They will just like
not all the parents are exposed or would like to
expose them to
expose the kids. Yeah.
So I don't know, but that was my culture shock, you know. I'm like, oh, this is how they behave, this is how people live, you know. So what was your culture shock?
I can start this.
Yeah.
You can start.
For me, I was expecting, like, you know, the way we catch the buses back home.
Yeah.
Matatu, like, is every stop.
Yeah.
Here, you have to specifically be here at this time, and if you're 2 minutes late, you'll be left. And getting lost. Getting lost using GPS.
Do you sleep on the train?
My sense of direction is really skewed until now. So I suffered there.
Australia is it's confusing. Up to now, I don't know east is where, west is where.
Right and left.
I don't know. And I used to sleep in train. If I sleep in train because of I finished tree lopping and then I didn't drive, I find myself in Penrith. I find myself in past Bankstown, you know, and I'm supposed to go to Lidcombe. So
to connect to another, those ones.
Like,
the transport was actually the first thing that was shocking to me. Yeah.
For me, I remember like I knew like going for an interview, you need to put on like official. So I remember my first interview, I was like more of official going to the interview, well dressed. And then I was surprised people are with jeans and whatever.
You're on good behavior.
And like you expect so many people to do your interview, and then one person does your interview.
Yeah.
Like it was.
Okay.
Interesting.
How did you find that now?
Like
Just shocking, or you're like, oh, this is different?
it was a bit different, like
Because
from my expectation and the way we were taught.
like,
you remember?
Yeah. Did you guys practice before you go for an interview?
yes, definitely.
For me, I never I never practiced going
What
for
do
an
you
interview.
mean rules?
So
Like,
let me tell you
prepare
a
your mind.
funny story about.
I used to go to the interview like.
So I'll tell you a funny story. If you ask a lot of people in Sydney, they'll tell you they know us. 12 Baghdad Street. What we used to do, we used to sit down, coach each other. To an extent, we had both a phone, house phone. Okay? And then we'll practice. And then our house phone, you put it as a referee. And then when you go for an interview, you give them the house
Oh
phone,
my
right?
God,
And then they will call it, and
That's like
I'll just pick it up
criminals.
and say, hi, my name is whatever. And you know, this person, I'm like, yeah, I was the team leader. What do
That's
you do?
how you have to do
yeah,
it,
you have
yeah.
to hustle to get a job, you know.
Like,
we used to
yeah.
hustle, do everything, you know, to
Yeah,
get a job.
I remember like we used to make like I don't wanna say.
But which job was it for that you guys were training for, like this?
Any job,
No.
as long as we need a job. Our main aim was to get a job. Okay, hustle, learn, and we were so keen and patient and willing to learn.
Yes.
We were not like I remember one of our guys used to do car wash. But even you go for an interview for a car wash, you have to practice. You have to ask people, how do you do it, you know? And then people will train you, people will back you
What
up.
are the questions?
But nowadays, you know, these guys, you're trying to tell them, sit down and tell you what to do, they're like,
It's very
they don't
hard.
want that, you know? So I don't know how you guys found it, you know?
For me, my first interview, as I told you, like we just walked in. We said we are experienced.
That's
We
for the
didn't know what to
housekeeping.
do in housekeeping. Like we just walked into the interview and
Yeah.
they just explained to us what to do.
No, but after, like, for the other jobs and
Like for
with
the other
disability
jobs, I
or
remember
something
my
like that.
my first disability job. I just because I studied like certificate 3 in individual support, so I knew what's happening.
You knew what
Like because I paid $1,000 to get the certificate, so I knew what's happening. So I just walked into the interview
And you already know. Okay.
and yeah.
So, since we've talked about you guys getting a visa, but we haven't talked about what did you come to study?
Okay. Oh.
And which state initially? Because
So,
we are in Darwin now.
So for me, applying to come to Australia, I applied in a college called St. George and Sutherland College
The best, yeah.
in Sutherland, yeah. So I applied for certificate 3 in early childhood and diploma in early childhood. Okay, I landed in Sydney definitely, and I started doing certificate 3 in early childhood, and I finished. I have a certificate in early childhood. But I just realized that was not my passion. So
Can I ask you, does it the early childhood, does it have placement?
Yeah, it had placement. So that's where it did put me off, because like my expectation, our kids back home and the kids here in Australia are really different. Like I remember one of the kids told me, why are you black? You're so ugly, and that put me off.
Yeah.
That put me
Just
off.
like when you work with the youth work, eh?
Yeah.
I work with
I was
youth
like,
work.
I'm not gonna work. I'm not gonna do early childhood. I'm not ready to face all these things. So I immediately changed to do diploma in community services. So I did early childhood and diploma in community services in Sydney.
Okay. What about you?
Then what next?
Yeah.
I also landed in Sydney, and same college as Vicky, and I studied. What did I study? Community service, and then advanced diploma in community service. So me, I have if I wanted to be coordinator right now, I am ready.
you need to jump into the field, you know.
These things, eh?
Yeah.
I have the qualification, but.
Or you are just like me, don't like sitting in the office.
I actually maybe I could enjoy because I've never tried. How can I not like something I've never done?
I don't like sitting down.
But have you tried?
I love being on the I love being on the floor. I love just moving, you know. But I see myself like when I had an opportunity, people will feel like they're scared of you, and I don't like that. I just want to be free, you know. Just want to roll around.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Currently, in Darwin now, studying nursing.
What made you move to Darwin? Actually.
It's just studying, and also I did my research and on pathways on how to get to the permanent residency. Yeah. I find out that it's easier over here.
It's easy to get.
Although now it looks like everywhere is good.
Oh, just like 2 days ago, Sydney scrapped all the requirements.
Imagine.
Now you can just apply for 190 and all those.
So it looks like we moved here for nothing.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
I think everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
You never know.
So what made you move to Darwin?
Mine is actually the same thing as Charlene, like just to look for.
What do you find different between Darwin and Sydney?
Oh, there's a lot of things different. In Sydney, Sydney is a very big city.
Yeah.
So like Sydney, there's lots of people. It's very busy and it's very congested.
Yeah.
And when I came to Darwin, I was like, when I just landed, I was like, I just felt like I'm back home.
Yeah.
I remember
no traffic.
I came to Darwin in 2019. Literally, Darwin had no people. Like it was like few people were in Darwin. So you could even drive on the road and you're by yourself driving during the day.
Yeah.
Going to the city, there's no one. You're walking in the streets alone. Those days. So like Darwin had no people. The roads are wider. Sydney, the roads are like really narrow.
Yeah.
And like people are a bit friendly in Darwin compared to Sydney, because Sydney, you remember, it's a very big city. Everyone is busy.
Yeah.
Here, like people have time, and like.
What do you say about both of you can say something about accommodation and rental property compared to Sydney and Darwin? Because I find that the place I used to live in, Sydney, Chester Hill, I used to rent 3-bedroom house and I pay $430 a week, and like here. To rent in Darwin depends with the suburb and what you want actually. So how do you find that, you guys?
Okay. First, when I came to Darwin, like the rental properties were a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
In 2019, we were actually renting a 4-bedroom house, and it was $450. But when COVID came to Darwin, like the rental properties increased, like the prices increased.
Okay.
Because so many people are moving to Darwin that time.
Yeah.
So I think the real estate and everyone took advantage of it, and then the prices went up.
Charlene, how do you see in terms of buying groceries? Because in Sydney you can get an option of Lebanese shop and all those. How do you see it? Because
it seems like it's a bit pricey in terms of getting the food, because they have monopoly like Coles and Woolies and what else do we
Aldi?
Yeah, in Sydney.
IG. Do we have IG
in Darwin? We have IG, but it's a bit expensive.
Yeah.
IG anyway, it's always expensive. So the food, I think it's a bit more expensive. But for me, we live in a shared. We share things as in our household. Making things a bit cheaper. So same as Sydney. So everything seems the same to me, but it's a bit pricey.
I want to add up on like compared to Sydney, I feel like you can save more money in Darwin compared to Sydney, like because there's no the expenses.
There's no Westfield.
Yeah, and actually I went to Sydney like a few weeks ago, and I realized that the fuel price is a bit higher than in Darwin, and I was really surprised. It's higher.
High. I was fueling. I just came from Sydney on yesterday, Tuesday.
Okay.
Came from Sydney on Tuesday, and fuel was expensive.
It's really expensive.
Yeah.
I was so surprised. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
so you see yourself staying longer in Darwin, or you just feel comfortable in Darwin now? No plans of leaving, or what's your plan with
For
Darwin?
me, at the moment, I forgot to tell you guys that I came to Darwin to study nursing.
Yeah.
And I finished my nursing.
Mm-hmm.
I got a job. I got a job in Darwin in one of the big hospitals in Northern Territory. And my plan is like to stay for a few more years, get experience, and maybe sooner or later I might settle in Darwin, but I have no plans getting out of Darwin
At the moment.
for now, at the moment, yeah.
What about you?
I'll just go with the flow. We'll see how
You're
it
just happy
takes
with
me.
that?
I'm just happy for now.
So
And I have to finish my
yeah,
school.
what are the challenges that you guys encountered during your study, or what are the challenges that you encountered during your work, especially you as a nurse? Any racial, any abuse during your work? Because I know you're working with different kind of people every day.
First, when I came to Darwin first, I stayed for almost 2 months without getting a job.
Yeah.
That was the first challenge. I really looked for a job until I was almost losing hope, but I just encouraged myself. I know what brought me here. Let me just keep on moving. And then when I started work, the challenges are like I worked with people with disabilities. Most of them were mental illness. Like they do have behaviors.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're really like when they start having behaviors, you're really scared of your life.
How is that in your mental health? Like sometimes you feel like quitting?
Yeah, sometimes like you feel like quitting. I remember there was this company I worked for, and it was 1 a.m. in the morning, and a client started being wanted to be physically aggressive towards me, and I ended up closing the office, and like I felt like he was going to break the door, and then I had to call the police, and then when the police came, that he settled. He was like a bit scared of the police, and then like I remember when I went home, like I was really scared. I felt like leaving the job, and then to add on, like the bosses of that company never even asked me if how I felt and everything, and even they called me. Like I remember I gave out the owner's in Darwin, the owner's number like to the police, and then I was like they said like I didn't follow the company's policies and procedures. I gave out the owner's number because the police asked me, can you give us the number of the person in charge of this company? So I didn't even think of giving out on call's number.
Yeah.
I gave out the owner, and she was contacted, and she was asked why is she leaving one staff with a client like that. And it brought issues. They called me to a disciplinary meeting because I did that. Yeah. So I felt really bad. I was like, no one asked me, and I felt like
that's why I always feel like we as international students here and we're working in this kind of job, we always put in a scenario whereby it's between a hard and a rock, and we have a lot to let go because our job sometimes, if you find a job that they really don't care, it really impacts on your mental health, and then you ended up not delivering in school or also living a better life because you are stressed on and off the work,
Yeah.
Sure. So how did you find it? The challenges. Did you have any challenges, be it in studying or at your workplace, or did you face racial profiling?
I cannot actually think of anything right now, but what I would say is a challenge to me is the work, school, and life balance.
Yeah.
So we are doing all these things all at one go, and you might find one part of your life, maybe mostly the education might suffer, or you're not performing well at work because of this, or your life is just a mess. It's
and
nothing is going on.
You start adding weight, like
You
maybe
start
because you finish
gaining
night
weight.
shift, you got day shift, or you do this, you have classes,
You're fatigued, you cannot be
you
walking
don't
around
have
tired.
beautiful life.
Yeah.
But what do you tell the people back at home? They think like we have beautiful life.
You can say hard work pays.
Okay, for the people at home, like it's not easy. It's not really easy. We have to go to work. We have to go to school. We have to do our assignments. we pay a lot of money for the school fees. We pay around $1 million in a span of a million shillings, sorry, in a span of 3 months.
Yeah.
So it's really it's really hard. It's not easy. It's just balancing and trying to just being organized.
Yeah. For the people back at home, we are not trying to discourage you from coming here to do studies or anything, but we just want you to see the bigger picture. It's all about your determination now, your venye umejipanga kiakili. You just have to let go of, like for me, I was really coddled. I was like, nilibembelezwa mpaka mwisho. I was taken slowly like this, and then thankfully I was also received slowly. And then I was let go, and now you have to grow up there, and you have to catch up. Life moves quick, you run with it.
What do you tell our viewers, those who think like, oh, I want to go to Australia or I want to go to overseas, and the first thing I want to do is get a mzungu?
I encourage that. I encourage that.
Yeah.
For me, yes, if you want to get a mzungu, just remember what brought you to Australia. Don't come and just in your mind you think like you're getting a mzungu. If you're coming to study, finish your studies. Don't think like the mzungu will give you the PR or anything.
If you
work
get
hard
PR,
for your own PR,
but if you're independent,
but if you get the PR with the mzungu, that's okay. But just remember where you're from and remember what brought you to Australia. That's it.
What do you say about, and like Darwin is a little bit quiet, Sydney is where you find lots of dramas, domestic violence. What do you tell our boys, because most of our boys came here with their home Kenyan mentality, or wherever they come from, their mentality like, oh, this lady can't tell me anything. What do you tell them when they come here? They will learn that this is a different place. What's the message to such kind of people before they arrive here? What do you think they need to be told?
For our men or our boys, when you come to Australia, like the law is different. Just try and follow like whatever, like the law. Don't do the domestic violence. Come and follow whatever.
And disrespect and women.
Just respect us. Give us the respect. And just follow the law.
Just be a law-abiding person and focus on things. And if you talk to a woman slowly, you can come into an agreement.
Most of men are always fishing for women in overseas, like say, oh, I know the lady so and so in Darwin, I know lady so and so in Kenya. They wanna date you, not because they are falling in love, but they just want to get away, a clear path to get to Australia. They want you to go back home, marry them, and bring them here. What do you think of such things?
For me, if it's me, like I can't do that. I can't.
Is that the reason why most of the ladies here don't want to date away from their comfort zone? Because they know that the guy at home or whoever back in Kenya or whatever place, the intention are not right. They just want to get a clear pass. What do you think?
Like according to experience, most of the people like just came because of papers, and after they are here, they've left each other. So for me, I can't do such a thing. Like,
and also seeing these stories, it's a bit scary.
It's scary.
After you've seen it, I've seen also good like relationships which they've been talking on the phone. They go and get married, and they brought back. And they're still thriving. So
it's not general.
It depends. It depends. Okay. It depends with the connection.
And also the person hopefully is good.
But I think like even the men here in Australia, like they do disappoint you. So that's why the ladies go.
So disappointment everywhere.
Disappointment everywhere.
Even the men are really disappointed because they can bring a wife.
It just depends on how you guys are.
All right. So, as we're going to wrap up the show now, I wanna ask each one of you to give our audience a word of advice in general in life, so that whoever is watching can learn something from you guys, like how life is in Australia and what not to do or what to do, so that they can be a nurse like you, or they can be whatever they want to be, you know. What do you tell them? Like for me, I can tell them, obey the law of the land, be respectful to others. 1, 2, and 3. What's your take?
For me, what I can advise the viewers for people, especially the people who want to come to Australia, if you come to Australia, just focus on whatever brought you, and also follow the law, and focus on your studies. If you think like, and be determined, like. Don't stay like in this country more than 10 years and you haven't got any permanent residency and you haven't done anything back home. Please, if you come, help your parents, invest, and also get
like you're telling them residency. Stop going online and you haven't done anything. Every day when you keep quiet, when you're relaxed, you see popping up notification. Someone is posting, someone, you know. I don't know.
It's up to you if you're posting.
They haven't done anything, you know, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. It's up to you when you're posting. Just remember, like, where you're from. Like, don't forget back home. Don't forget where you're from. Don't forget your family members or anybody. Just focus, and you'll be okay.
My advice is, if you're planning to come to Australia, hopefully you know somebody, or at least I pray that you come and get someone who can show you a way, because literally someone where you land, how the people you live with determine how you will actually be living. So tabia ziniza tu kukopiana. So hopefully you come and find good people, or if you are unlucky to not find the like what could lead into the correct path. There are people who really already know what's up, and they will show you the ways, this. You choose now. Come on,
so you are telling them to be humble and be ready to learn.
Be ready to learn,
Be ready to
because
learn.
It's a new thing.
Be humble,
You have to learn. It's a new thing. It's a new place, new environment. So, and also mkuje tujibambe.
Sherehe kiimbi.
There's a lot of
opportunities.
And another thing is, if you have fun, don't forget yourself. Be, like, balance your life here in Australia. Don't take your life kwa sherehe sana, usahau kenye imekuleta hapa. That's what so many people fail in here. Like, they forget like what brought them here.
People always look at us and like, Salima, tutembei na huyu jamaa, unless kama ni Uber driver wetu, cause huyu jamaa ni asana. I remember when I used to go to Bambi. They always tell me I don't know life. So I remember we went to another bash, and then one of my friends brought me like 2 liters of Coke and 1 liter of water. And like, man, like sisi tukiendelea.
Anyway, it depends with you in this country. Like, if you wanna go that path, that's you. You have a choice. Like, for example, especially young people, like, you umekuja hapa, you have all the freedom. Just remember, balance your life, because the fun will ruin your life here in Australia. So many people
have been, not going anywhere,
and it's not going in. It's still there. So just focus on your studies, focus on your work, and fun to balance everything.
So that's it for today, viewers. It has been great pleasure to have this lovely guest today, and we look forward to have you anytime you guys want to come over. The door is always open. And for viewers, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel.
Subscribe.
We'll see you next time.